Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise. I'm Lamar Haven. Welcome back to Remember 11, The Age of Infinity. When last we left our heroes, everything happened, actually. We managed to finally finish Chapter 1. We moved on to Chapter 2, Satoru's chapter. We're during the first personality swap, and Satoru is understandably a little confused. Uni had decided to climb down the ladder to go get something, and I think we're getting very close to our second body swap, because Uni swiftly climbed down the ladder and disappeared. I looked down through the rectangular hole in the ground. There appeared to be some kind of storeroom down there. Hey, you. Having been addressed, I turned around. Would you tell me your name? It's kind of inconvenient not knowing each other's names, isn't it? The man sat down on one of the wooden chairs, smoking a cigarette. My name's Yomogi. Yomogi Seiji. Yomogi... Seiji? Yet again, a strange feeling overcame me. He knows what Seiji might mean, I think. That's to Remember 11, none of our questions were answered. Also that. Just like with Uni, I'd heard this man's name before. Yomogi Seiji, age 35, a mountaineer by trade. If I'm not mistaken, he should have a wife and kids. Why do you know this? Why? Why are all these clear memories of him suddenly coming to my mind? I've never seen this man before. And yet why? What's the matter? Is something bothering you? Yomogi inclined his head, a puzzled look on his face. Perhaps he'd read my expression. I replied, Nah, we haven't met before. It would just lead to more confusion. No, it's nothing important. Don't worry about it. With that said, I moved away from him. Remember, Satoru is currently in, in Kokorod's body. So, your name? Again, I heard his voice behind me. I answered as I walked aimlessly around the cramped room. Yukido Satoru. Yukido Satoru? Yomogi and Lin raised their voices so near perfectly in unison that it seemed as though they planned it beforehand. Yomogi looked me over critically, as though observing some strange life form. And Lin marched straight up to me with her mouth set in a hard line. Maybe, just maybe, Lin had remembered me at last? Lin? I softly calling her name, I moved towards her. We stood in front of the stove, facing each other. A strange sense of unease overcame me. I soon realized that its source was in the way she looked at me. I was looking up at Lin. Lin was looking down at me. In truth, the difference of the angles wasn't that great, but the fact that there was barely any difference between our heights to begin with, to me, was shocking. He still hasn't put two and two together. You see, if you're in somebody else's body, I would think just by looking at your arms, that would be a pretty big hint that something's wrong. And I find it hard to believe that at no point did Satoru ever put his hands out in front of him, and for some reason. I mean, just from like the casual looking around, the corner of your eye would catch something wrong on your body, I would think. It just seems so silly that they drag it on for so long that he doesn't realize something's wrong. I tried to analyze this inexplicable phenomenon. I looked down. I should check to make sure of my own feet. Finally! But then, at just that moment, I feel like that I noticed a body swap pattern they did seriously. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Shamir. That's exactly what I'm saying. You should, just from casual observation, notice something's amiss. Maybe not a body swap. Maybe that won't be the first thing that comes to your mind, because of various reasons. But you'll notice something's wrong. At first, I couldn't quite understand what it was that had happened to me. Sorry, I dropped something. I've been playing with this stupid metal thing. My vision swam. The strength of my legs left me and I fell to my knees. Right after that, I was attacked with violent pain. Pain spread in burning waves across my face and down my neck until my whole body was throbbing. Was I hit just now? If so, then I haven't a clue by whom or with what, though. Or why there would be any reason for someone to hit me. I was only sure of one thing. Right there before my eyes was the person who hit me. My Azumi Lin. Give me my metal thing. I like playing with it. Thank you. This stupid metal, like, long paperclip thing that you use in, like, offices or some shit. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with toying with it. Anyway, Also feel if I suddenly had extra parts or parts were missing. That's not necessarily something you would notice right away. I always find it interesting that people reduce in the gender binary like that. They say parts missing or parts added. It always feels like that. I mean, I know people don't mean it that way, but it's like subtractive, and it's weird that that's the logic that... Never mind. That's a discussion for a different time. My blurry vision finally came back into focus. From where I knelt on the ground, I looked up at Lynn as she towered over me. She glared imposingly down at me, her face flushed. "Don't you dare play games with me." Her voice was quivering with anger. There almost seemed to be a strange aura emanating from her, causing the air behind her to distort like a heat haze. "What exactly are you plotting? Why? Why Yukito Satoru?" I got to my feet, wiping a hand across my mouth. Something red was smeared across the base of my thumb. "You haven't changed one bit." "Huh? You still have that bad habit of getting physical whenever you lose your temper. And a tendency to fly into a rage when there's something you don't understand. You want to die? And moreover, are you planning on pretending to be Satoru now?" "Pretending? If you're not pretending, then what the hell is this? Talking to me so casually, calling me by my first name. Isn't everything up until now an act you've been putting on to trick me?" "Well, even with that said, this is hardly worth being called acting, worthy of being called acting. It's around the same level of artistry as a dog and pony show, or a kid's game of make-believe. A worthless, ridiculous farce." Meant my magnificent beard missing. That's something you might notice missing, I suppose. I guess I did make an assumption. My mistake. God, I wish I could grow a decent beard, but I can't. I have to go the clean-shaven route. "Lynn, what's going on here? Seriously. I'm Satoru. I'm not pretending to put on an act. I'm the real, genuine Yukito Satoru." "Huh. Even after all that, you're still planning on keeping it up. Unbelievable. Just what is all this? What do you want from me? Are you trying to make fun of me? Or is this meant to be some kind of con? Well, just do whatever you want. It's no use trying to trick me. It looks like you really have done a bit of investigating my past with Satoru, but I'm not gonna do it's not gonna do you any good. Too bad for you. Next time you try and trick someone, pick your target a little better, okay?" Confused and bewildered, I was left speechless. There was a fatal discrepancy somewhere in my exchange with Lynn just now. Like a pair of gears that didn't line up properly, clattering along to no protective end. I am me, Yukito Satoru. There can be no mistake about it. And yet Lynn isn't recognizing me as who I am, as Yukito Satoru. I had a terrible feeling that my entire existence was being denied. More importantly, it's freezing in here. This piece of crap barely deserves to be called a stove. Can't I heat the place any better? Hey, Yamogi! Can't you do something about that? Lynn sat down in front of the stove, arm crossed against the cold. Yamogi stood where he was, as though frozen there, cigarette in mouth. The flame had already reached the filter and burned itself out. Hey, can't you hear me? I told you to do something! Lynn shouted at him over her shoulder. The spent cigarette dropped from Yamogi's lips and onto the floor. Yeah, I got it. He gathered several blankets from the bed, then draped them over Lynn's shoulders. Lynn pulled them tight around her. Coffee. I'm telling you to make some coffee. Move it already. Honestly, you're so dull. Good grief. Her Highness is quite a pain in the ass. As he grumbled a complaint, Yamogi skillfully brewed a cup of coffee and carried it over to Lynn. Lynn accepted it without a word of thanks, and then after blowing on it a few times, she set her lips to the edge of the cup. Hey, what do you think you're looking at? You're an eyesore, so why don't you just go somewhere else? Cold words were directed at me. My chest ached, as though someone were squeezing it hard. Go take a look at my own appearance! You idiot! I noticed it for the first time since coming here. The fact that Lynn didn't recognize me as Yukito Satoru was because my current appearance lacks the component which proves that Yukito Satoru is Yukito Satoru. Supposing a dog could talk, even if he said, I'm a cat, no one would believe him. Because compared to a cat, a dog is so clearly different from in appearance and form. The dog lacks the component which proves that a cat is a cat. Then just what is the component which proves that a cat is a cat? It's not something you can express in one word. The shape of the mouth, the whiskers, the ears, the teeth, the shape of the pupils, the claws, the texture of the fur, the shape of the body, its skeletal structure, the way it's walking, its cry. oddly reminiscent, once again, of a concept I've discussed before, the perfect form. I'm gonna move on. I was gonna make a different point, but I'm gonna move on. All those things combined make up its indescribable catness. Apparently we're, watching... Oh my god, I can't even... Hunger Games! I lost the name for a second there. Perhaps then the situation that I found myself in is the same as that pitiful dog-like cat. The current me, perhaps, doesn't appear Yukito Star-like. Therefore Lyn doesn't recognize me as such. Having deduced this within an instant, I timidly looked myself over. A ribbon at my chest, a light pink skirt, high lace-up boots. The back of my hand was soft white, and from my abdomen protruded 2 long, slender legs that looked perfectly at home there. Notice how he didn't specifically mention the boobs. I'm just saying. I don't know if that's them holding back or a joke of some kind. Kind of figured at least Satoru's point of view would have make disliking Lyn more and more than I did, but I'm starting to change my mind. I just forgot how irritating she is. like I keep saying, I totally understand where she's coming from. I totally understand why she might be emotional and impolite, to say the least. This can't be. The words left my mouth before I had time to think. I'd expected my current appearance to be different from my usual one, but to be wearing a skirt? I'm wearing a skirt. In short, this means... Panicking, I put both hands to my chest. Yep! I had a feeling we were leading to this. And Shamir gets the other joke I was going to mention. Which, yes, was very rude. Though small, there were definitely 2 bulges there. Okay, 1. Ouch. 2. Please don't linger on this. A woman. I'm a woman. Why hadn't I considered that possibility until now? Maybe because you had you were in denial? Because, like I keep saying, you should have seen certain highlights, let's say? Undoubtedly, I felt like myself, no different from usual. That's why, even if a certain part of my body entered my field of vision, I didn't recognize it as anything other than a symbol of sorts. A finger was just a finger, an arm was just an arm, a foot was just a foot. All proceeded so unconsciously, I barely even noticed it. We don't see the thing in itself. Interesting. What's this a reference to? Thing in itself. The central concept and philosophy of Immanuel Kant, an 18th century German philosopher. Refers not to the object's phenomenon characteristics, that which concerns empirical recognition, but to the actual object itself, the very substance of the phenomenon's origin, independent of any subjectivity. It means that we can only make sense of the phenomenon and can never directly know the actual object or way. The thing in itself is not something which can be understood, only contemplated. However, the contemplation itself is sort of a transcendental freedom. I think, therefore I am, also a reference to that. Or vice versa. Or it's a reference to that. Figure out if I was wearing a skirt. Unless you're used to wearing skirts, I think you'd notice wearing one. There's a lot of things that he should have noticed, and he's trying to explain to himself right now. Honestly, I think it was just his mind not ready for the idea of being in a different body, so every time he did notice it, because he's observant. Satoru was really observant. Every time he did notice something, I think he put it out of his mind immediately and just didn't dwell on it. When we see the passing landscape around us and the countless objects contained within it, we can't be said to be perceiving them exactly. We derive a simple general idea of each of these objects we see, and our thought patterns process them in a basic way. This is actually less a good way to describe the a certain mental process. It's actually a way better way of describing memory. Because that's how memory tends to work. We don't actually remember the event like a recording on a tape or something. You remember an event interpretive and with connections to other events and things and such like that. Memory is almost never perfect, and even if it somehow manages to be so perfect that you basically are just made a recording, it takes a lot of very specific effort and training to pull something like that off, And you can't do it 100% of the time, because that would be exhausting. Considering he hates them, it hasn't bothered him yet, really? Yeah, the watch too. Like I keep saying, there's no way he didn't notice this stuff. He is observant. He should have. He probably did notice it, and it was so subconscious that he was trying to not get stressed out and get worried about it, that he was basically in denial. Until now, I just naturally thought of myself as myself. In the human mind, there exists the pursuit of an identity and the sense of a self. We're programmed to naturally think the me of 10 years ago and the me of the present time are the same. Yet in practice, both physically and mentally, the two are almost completely different. In much the same way, I too was convinced the me from before and the me of the present were identical. Therefore, even if my foot or a part of my clothing entered my field of vision, I didn't recognize them anything other than one of the components which makes that up, which I think of myself. In short, I did not see my appearance as anything worthy of special notice. I derived only the general concept of my body and decided to just input that information in my brain. They're taking far too long trying to explain away this nonsense, so they could just have it as an extra mystery that was unnecessary because this chapter only unlocks after you do the first chapter anyway. However, now that I make the conscious observation of my own appearance, I notice that I'm different, a lot different than I remember. The first time I realized that something strange had happened in my body. Mental signals that something strange here had risen to the surface level of my consciousness. Game actually justified it. It didn't justify it well. Is something the matter? You look like you're in over your head or something. You don't have to keep it to yourself, you know. Why don't you take a load off and tell me what's going on? Okay, I've swapped bodies with someone, and I have no idea who, and I have no idea why, and I'm actually a guy. You know what? Maybe you should keep some of these thoughts to yourself. At least they tried to justify it. I know. But, I mean, the reason why they had to justify it in such a weak way was because they decided that narratively he had to take a while to realize the body swap happened, which I don't think was necessary. I ran up to Yomogi and seized him by the shoulders. A mirror! I need a mirror! Mirror? Sorry, but I haven't got one on me. I released Yomogi and scanned the room. Anything that I can use as a mirror. Aha! A small, square window leaped into view. The other side of the window was dark. A weak light of a lantern illuminated the surface of the glass. I urgently rushed into the window. A face I have no memory of. The image reflected me was that of a young girl. Who is this? I was aghast. Slowly, oh so slowly, I extended a hand toward the face that floated in the glass. Cautiously, taking great care, I paid careful attention how I moved, from my wrist down to my fingertips, so as to not break it. I held my breath, opened my eyes wide and softly. I touched the surface of the window pane. Feels to me that something should be felt when the switch happens. We don't know the mechanics of how the switch works, but if you're saying like there should be some sort of like reboot time or readjustment for the brain, I think we would have to know more about the mechanics specifically also with that case of how the swap happens or what's happening exactly. The game really, really underemphasizes the effects of various hormones and other things that the rest of the body produces that affects the brain and influences its behavior. A lot of people are like, oh, well, the brain is the most important part of your body. It's what regulates everything. It's what does everything. So thus you should be able to take out a brain, put it in a different body, and everything would be almost exactly the same, except for the body itself. That's not necessarily true. It would also affect the brain. The brain itself is strongly influenced by the body's processes. Hence, like stuff like hormones and and your digestive tract and the way the blood is flowing. Everything strongly affects how your brain is also thinking and processing things, and the process at which it goes about doing things. So it would strongly affect your personality. Maybe not strongly. It would definitely affect your personality. Saying strongly is a bit too presumptive, because this isn't really something that we've done. You might have heard a while ago that someone was trying to swap their brain into another body, though it's not really a brain transplant. It's actually technically a body transplant, even though you're taking the brain out and just putting it in a different body. because the main personality, or the main person that's being saved by the transplant, is the one that goes with the brain. I actually don't know what the results of that was, but I imagine if it was if it worked, or at the very least if they had a really good hint that it was working well, it probably would have been talked about a lot more. But I don't know if the actual surgery went through or if they were just planning it at the time. I didn't read the article. But if that ever succeeded, if a body transplant ever successfully happened, we would learn a huge amount about the biology of how brains work. The brain is actually one of the least well-known aspects of the human body. Sorry, I went on a huge tangent there, and Ed just ran away with it. Kind of directly related to one of my degrees. So I was just like, let's talk about stuff I like. When I think young girl, I don't think someone her age. I would. But I'm 29, so there are a lot of people who seem young to me. I touched the surface of the window pane. Who is this woman? Is this woman me? If that's so, then where has the me I recognize gone? Who am I? Which is the real me? I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Something's wrong. This world isn't the world I know. Loneliness and alienation overwhelmed me, and my own existence suddenly seemed thin and fragile. The anxiety became more and more unbearable. Young woman, yes, but young girl. I don't get too caught up on girl-woman specifics. Unless the person I'm talking to seems to be hung up on that, I don't get hung up on that too often. Like, I don't care if people call me boy, guy, man, or woman, because I get mistaken for a woman all the time. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. The anxiety became more and more unbearable. Reason deserted me in the face of the fear so powerful it made me want to scream. Okay, that sentence confused me for a second. Help me. Someone help me. My consciousness ended there. And there's our swap. I woke up shrouded in darkness. An eerie moan was coming from the other side of the window. My intuition told me it was the sound of the blizzard outside. The strong wind was rattling the window pane. Getting up from the bed, I took a quick glance around the room. Now here's an interesting thing that we didn't get from Kokoro's story. And that is, Kokoro didn't know anybody in that cabin, except for Uni, and only for a few minutes, before the crash happened. However, from Satoru's standpoint, it's very likely he knows everybody in this facility, unless we're making an assumption that he was here before his accident, and that might not be the case. Getting up from the bed, I took a quick glance around the room. My private room at Sphia. Okay, so I'm not making a false assumption. He's been here for at least a long enough time. He probably has already met everyone. That gives us a unique perspective on everybody else. This too was intuition. Intuition is information understood directly without the assistance of the process called inference. Like the instinctive recognition of seeing an apple in one's place before you, I immediately grasped the situation. I was currently in Sphia, Specified Psychiatric Hospital for Isolation and Aegis. Being in the facility was natural, and being in this room was natural, because this room was assigned to me. Leaving the bed, I switched on the lights. The stuff lying around the room was all mine. Nothing had been added, nothing had been removed. No particular abnormality was evident. I quickly observed my body. They used the same image for when she found out, I think. I was a man again. Those two bulges had thankfully disappeared as well. Are you sure? Are you sure that's thankfully? No, perhaps I mean regrettably. Haha, there we go. Truth be told, it was a bit of a shame. This is the real world, the world where I exist as myself. Breathe a sigh of relief. But if this was the real world, does that mean everything up until now wasn't real? In other words, I'd simply been dreaming about Lynn in the shelter cabin? I didn't even care to think about it. Have to think about it. Look, I've transformed into a strange woman! There's no realistic, scientific, or any reasonable way such a thing could ever happen. Such a thing could only happen within one's imagination, in fantasies, illusions, delusions, dreams. In a space free of the constraints called the laws that rule things, namely the world of dreams. Well, simply said, this sort of stupid event is only possible in a dream. That's all there is to it. And we're back to denial. Leaving my room, I went to the dining area. There was a large fridge in the corner of the kitchen. I opened it and took out a PET bottle full of mineral water. In the cupboard beside it, I found my usual glass. Picking it up, I filled it to the brim. Gasping, I wiped my mouth. The icy water flowed into my stomach and rehydrated my entire body. Now then. I took my wristwatch out of my pocket. 9:12 p.m. Later than I thought. After putting the PET bottle back in the fridge, I went over to the living area. I stood in the middle of the room. My arms folded, I tried to take a look around. It looks like no one's here. The only audible sound was the sorrowful roar of the blizzard. Loitering in the center of the room, I couldn't help but feel a little forlorn. Odd. Something's wrong. What felt wrong wasn't the fact that I couldn't find so much as a shadow of a person. I felt different from my usual self. Even if the form was mine, something felt horribly wrong on the inside. Give me a second. Look at his hand. Is it just me, or does it look like he has, like, really long fingernails? I mean, nothing wrong with that. I don't care about the length of your fingernails. I'm just saying that's not something I observed about him before. Wonder if that's a specific design choice, or... Oh well, whatever. Even if the form was mine, something felt horribly wrong on the inside. It differed from the uneasiness I felt in a dream. It was a feeling of dreary emptiness. Aren't you on, like, painkillers and shit? I identified the cause right away. What am I doing? I'd lost sight of my purpose. I don't know what I was trying to accomplish. I don't remember having ever received instructions on what to do from anyone. My will didn't even guide me into doing anything, not a thing. My will was nothing but a null vector. A person is said to exist for a purpose as they live their daily life. Studying, working, building a family, loving, hating, enjoying the present moment, doing nothing. Anything's fine. In any case, one is constantly driven by the necessity from within and from an outside command to do something. Instead, I had nothing. Perfect nothingness. If anything was at least performing the essential actions of sustaining my life, such as drinking water and breathing, then thinking like I am now, this too, I suppose, is an act performed to make my body function correctly. With the exception of these primitive and instinctual acts, I was doing nothing. See, here's the thing. From a personal standpoint, I dig Satoru's thought process. I dig listening to it. I dig hearing it and get, good insights into him. From the perspective of a visual novel, though, this dude is boring. Like, seriously, why would you make us sit through so many lines of dialogue of him pontificating about the most minor of details? I enjoy it personally because I like this kind of thought process, but why are we listening to it in a visual novel, in a game, ostensibly? Long enough to be noticed. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're definitely going way past his fingertips, is what I'm saying. With the exception of these primitive and instinctual acts, I was doing nothing. It felt as if something was missing, as if my core had been completely disconnected and stolen away. Not really a dictionary so much. He does a similar thing to me, where he'll find a tangent and he'll get stuck on it. He'll be like, I'm enjoying this line of thought. I'm going to keep going with this line of thought. Oh yeah, I was going somewhere, wasn't I? Oh yeah, let's go back. And he does like to define things, so he is sort of dictionary-esque. So it would be like something comes up and he's like, I'm going to define this word because it's a complicated word with a complicated meaning in this specific context. So I'm going to define it so that I understand exactly what it does. See, that's the thing. Satoru and I think a lot alike. And that's why he's boring. Because I'm a kind of a boring dude sometimes. He's like Haven. I really hope you made that connection before I said it. To begin with, why am I here? Oh good, we're gonna figure out why he's at Sphia. As for this facility, Sphia, I know everything. The small rooms range in every direction, this living area in the center, the kitchen, the surroundings enclosed by the high wall, the clock tower above the facility. You're saying you'd make a boring visual novel character? I would make the worst visual novel character, as if you were looking at it from my perspective. I like Satoru as a visual novel character before we started hearing his every single thought. We don't need to hear that. That the thing is, the reason why I know this lesson so well is because I used to write stories once in a while, and one of the stories I wrote thought a lot like this. I was like, I'm gonna write a character like from my specific thought process. I was 2 chapters in before I was like, oh my god, I can't continue writing like this. This is boring me. Why would anybody else enjoy it? I made it like 5 seconds before you. I'm glad other people are making the same connection I am. Clock tower? Something struck me. I was climbing a spiral staircase and stood at the top of the clock tower, then... I don't know. I couldn't remember what happened afterward. My mind was fumbling in the dark. It was a disaster being inside the chaotic snowstorm that was my messed up thoughts. No good. It's useless to even think about this. I made it during the rant. I'm glad other people are making the connection. I'm not the only one. Giving up, I decided to drop the matter. Even if I thought about it more, there wasn't a guarantee that I'd find what I was looking for. For now, finding a goal became a new objective. Well then, what to do now? Decided to visit the room on the right first, the one facing the kitchen. There was a boy inside. He was sitting in a chair at first, but when I came in, he leaped up in a fluster and started talking. What do you want now? You could at least knock. 2 things surprised me. First was the fact that somebody was inhabiting this room. If memory served me well, this room was supposed to be vacant. Interesting. Secondly, the fact the person was Uni, the boy who appeared inside my dream. Hairstyle, looks, even the round glasses. He was the spitting image of the one in the dream. Why is the character in my dream here in reality? Sorry, I thought no one was here. I said it already, but I really did believe this room was vacant. It made me think that I had no idea. The countless synapses in my brain were scattering in a flurry of sparks. Hey, I know I'm asking this all of a sudden, but your name is Uni, right? Kusada Uni. Yeah, and? Frowned perplexedly as he replied. I can see you just woken up, but are you alright? Wouldn't it be better to lie down for a little while longer? Why? You sound like you haven't recovered yet. Recovered? You don't remember? You went nuts out of the blue right here. Nuts? Me? Yeah. After I handed you a mirror like you asked, you started yelling, burst out crying, and went wild. Then a woman named Kali turned up and injected you with some sedatives. I really don't remember any of that. You shouldn't. That was what happened to Kokoro. What the heck did I do? My wits' end, I began to pace around the room. At least he had a similar situation to what Kokoro went through when she swapped back. You kind of had a fit. No, I didn't. You had a fit. There were still lots of things I didn't get, but I had obtained some information from Uni. Uni just said a woman named Kali. A woman named. This expression showed that the speaker was only recently met the person. Ah, yes, I made the same observation. Or possibly holds a tinge of doubt about the particular person as a result of unverified information from a report. One of the two. My god, he is in my head! Oh no! Why didn't you guys warn me about this? This is gonna suck. In this case, since Uni appeared to have directly witnessed the event he spoke of, the latter possibility can be rejected. Therefore, the relation between Uni and Utsumi Kali is clearly not that deep. By the way, for me to arrive at this sort of conclusion, I must already know this woman named Utsumi Kali. Utsumi Kali. Look, just like that. We didn't know. I know you didn't know, specifically. I have other viewers who know this game better. They probably kept this from me on purpose. Because they know. The fact that I stated her surname without much thought shows that I have memories concerning her. And I do know her. I could even vividly recall her appearance. Silver hair, brown skin, gentle eyes, voluptuous chest. As usual, I didn't know why I knew that. Now then, where and how did I met her? He has some really specific form of amnesia? Or I'm beginning to suspect time travel shenanigans. Time travel shenanigans. Give a heavy sigh. Felt like a marionette with my strings being pulled by someone whose true form I didn't know. That someone rules my memories or perhaps controls my body. The fact that I'm walking around this room now, is it really because I wanted to? I didn't even have the confidence to declare that. The thought of being controlled by someone in no means pleasant. I began to feel irritated.
I'm sorry, did I confuse you?
Not time travel ideas again. Time travel shenanigans. We already know they exist because of Uni. We just don't know the extent that they exist and such like that. Uni said this, spying on my state with uneasiness.
Saying all that wasn't a good idea, was it? Since Oni-chan is sick. And to think I was the one apologizing for alarm.
Oh, and to think I was the one apologizing for saying alarming things out of the blue. I'm sick? Do I look sick?
Yeah, you really do.
Ouch! I really do, huh? After inspecting my whole body to confirm my condition. Well, it's not my neck, waist, or back hurt anything.
Wrong, I'm talking about your body. You're sick in there.
I'm not talking about your body.
You're sick in there, your mind.
While drawing the palms of his hands to his chest, he continued.
Callie says that Oni-chan is sick in his mind. That's why you suddenly went mad and everything. You even behaved like you knew me too.
I'm mentally ill. I really wanted to laugh it off, but I couldn't. Part of me couldn't deny this possibility. This mysterious, unexplainable situation of being controlled by someone. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. I was hoping we'd get more information about Sphia and what's going on here, but if he has this really specific form of amnesia, or time travel shenanigans, has caused his memory to be weird, then we aren't going to get the information I wanted early enough. The part of me who lost his purpose, my memory loss, the errors of my recollections, not knowing what I should do, I have a confession. At the end of the last stream, I said there was permanently missiles at the beginning of Evolution Gaia, so my defense was right, but what I said was actually thinking about the third game in the series. It doesn't matter, it's not a big deal if we play that game. Speaking of, I forgot that I should do this. It's in the title of today's stream, but it is also right here in chat. If you didn't know, we ended Dragon Quest VI yesterday, so that's the place to vote for what I play tomorrow. But yes, there is no such thing as objectivity of your own mind or viewpoint. Technically, as such, there's no definition of objectivity for other people's viewpoints and such, whatnot. You're never going to be able to find a perfectly objective standpoint because people are complicated, and that's not how it works. Mortimer 1. Yes. Mortimer 1. Analyzing myself in a calm, objective manner. Maybe I have some kind of mental disorder.
It might mean nothing coming from me, but don't you think that maybe you shouldn't think about it too much? Since Satoru is still Satoru.
So Uni said Satoru. Asked at once. Wait a minute. You know me. Uni raised his brows in bewilderment. You missed the final boss battle? Sunset, you missed me losing the final boss battle. It wasn't worth saving that world. No, I was willing to give up because it was redonkulous, the amount of grinding I would have to do to make that anywhere near beatable. I just wasn't very interested. Shamir didn't actually give me the reasoning. I came to my own conclusion on that. But he was encouraging that reasoning, let's say. Turning around, he walked in front of the door. It wasn't worth saving that world. No, I was willing to give up because it was redonkulous, the amount of grinding I would have to do to make that anywhere near beatable. I just wasn't very interested. Shamir didn't actually give me the reasoning. I came to my own conclusion on that. But he was encouraging that reasoning, let's say. Turning around, he walked in front of the desk. He picked something up, a disc-shaped object in a case, and he spoke while swinging it lightly.
It's this. A terabyte disk.
Terabyte disk? Isn't that the latest product in high-capacity storage mediums? I have two 1 terabyte hard drives attached to my computer right now. They don't look anything like that.
Well, I guess technically, yeah. But what's this have to do with?
A complex smile floated across the face as Uni stuffed the disc in his pocket. Holding his arms, he walked around the room for a while. Keeping his mouth shut, I followed his footsteps intently.
Anyway.
Stopping all of a sudden, Uni began to speak. Also, that's the first we've ever heard of that disc. Which concerns me.
I decided to trust everything written in here.
I don't get it. I was hoping for an answer to my question, but that was a really far off answer.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry about what happened earlier.
This time it was an apology out of nowhere. As he bowed, he scratched his head in embarrassment. Why are you apologizing?
Because when you came before, I treated you pretty coldly, right? So...
It was impossible to comprehend. My thinking process was at a deadlock. All that moved were my eyelids as I blinked rapidly and uncontrollably.
Oh, that's right. Satoru doesn't have any memories of the times he became Kokoron, right? Yukito Satoru and Fuyukawa Kokoro are different personalities.
Fuyukawa Kokoro? How many times did this happen now? Again, that name sounded familiar to me. That's interesting. See, this thing that keeps happening, where he has, like, built-in information about the people in the cabin, that's why I keep thinking that's time travel shenanigans. So this is past uni, and I guess there's info for a good end future. You're assuming a lot about what's in that disc. Maybe there's not information for a good end future. Maybe there's information for a bad end future. Fuyukawa Kokoro, 20 years old, third-year student of Kyumeikan Women's University, majoring in criminal psychology. At the time, the question, why do I know a woman named Fuyukawa Kokoro, didn't come to mind. I was already very close to accepting this baffling memory malfunction as something normal. He has a walkthrough! My guess, I'm gonna just throw out a guess here, is that future uni left that for past uni to just get him enough up to speed so he'd be able to, you know, not be panicked. Uni said, I'm willing to trust everything that's on this thing. So who would you trust information from randomly the most but yourself, right? That's cheating, you can't do that. However, the problem hadn't ended there. What's the meaning behind Yukito Satoru and Fuyukawa Kokoro with different personalities? Doesn't have memories of the time he became Kokoro. What was Uni trying to say? Why did he suddenly apologize? How does he know me? These mysteries and that terabyte disk. What on earth do they have to do with each other? Uni, I beg you. I let out frail words. I humbly asked him as I hung my head dejectedly. I have no clue what's going on with so much fragmented information. Please explain the situation to me in detail. But just then it occurred, at the moment I was about to continue. Uh-oh! That's like 999 spoilers. A voice suddenly echoed across the building. A sharp, chilly shriek interrupted my words. Uni and I looked at each other. Then what I heard next was the sound of something being thrown.
It's Hattori! Eh? Something's happening to Hattori!
This was the first time. First time I heard an unfamiliar name. What? Hattori? There shouldn't be anyone named like that in Sphia, but unless he knows her by her normal name, Inabushi Keiko.
What are we standing around there for? Like that for? Hurry up!
Uni yelled while flying out of the room. Although I still had many questions to answer, I ran off after him for the time being. Shadow. Stop! Get away! Get away! As we dashed to the living room, a voice could be heard from the room straight on the right, facing the window. The door flew open. The one who rushed out was... Inabushi Keiko? Aha! So he doesn't know her by the name Hattori. He knows her by supposedly her original personality's name. White blouse and indigo skirt, legs clad in black stockings. Straight black hair that fell to her chest, white skin so pale it was almost transparent. There's no mistake. It's Inabushi Keiko. In my memory, the name Inabushi Keiko was linked to the figure of this girl. However...
Hattori! What's wrong? What happened?
Uni ran over to her, calling her name. Not Keiko, but Hattori. Why?
Hattori! Wait, Hattori!
Uni's voice wasn't reaching her. She ran in a zigzag across the room, shaking her head violently all the while and setting her long black hair in a disarray. I stood there, completely dumbfounded. And just then...
Yukito-kun! Catch her!
Utsumi suddenly appeared. She'd come flying out of the same room, ran after the girl called Hattori. Two of them had probably been in a scuffle, seeing as Utsumi's hair was rather disheveled. Utsumi Kali, the person Uni mentioned earlier. I know her, and she seems to know me too.
Hey, are you listening? Quick, go after her! Yukito-kun! Yukito-kun!
That blood-curdling shriek blocked all my thoughts. No matter how much I tried to think, I made no progress at all. The more I worried, the deeper I lost myself in this labyrinth of memories. Ah, there's that line! Labyrinth of Memories! That's from the intro scene. So basically, this smells much like when 999, and then just do it because of that. Yeah, I'm actually getting a similar feel. The more I worried, the deeper I lost myself to the labyrinth of memories. So at that moment, I gave up thinking completely. What I should do right now is following Itsumi's directions. My actions after reaching a decision were quick. Leaping in the dining area, I started looking for the girl. Not here. Where'd she go? As I looked, I heard someone run down the stairs behind me. The storeroom! I nimbly kicked off from the floor and made for the basement storeroom. It was pitch black down there. A heavy rumbling sound echoed in the darkness. It was a low mechanical sound that jolted my body at the very core. I didn't know what it really was. But now wasn't the time to worry about that. Where did she... Fumbling along the wall in the darkness, I finally hit a light switch. White light poured from the ceiling. As I looked around searching for her, Sitara, this way, this way! A small whisper from behind me reached my ears. I turned around. Uni beckoned me, leaning halfway out from between the shelves. I reached over to him. It doesn't look very pitch black. Well, obviously, for the convenience of the viewer.
Look, over there!
And he was pointing behind a pile of cardboard boxes. 2 legs ending in a pair of black loafers were partially visible. Uni was nervous, not knowing what to do. Clasping his hands in front of the chest, he waited further instruction. Placed a hand on his shoulder, signaling, "Wait here," in silence. Uni nodded. Leaving him there, I approached the cardboard boxes from the side, moving with great discretion and caution. Slowly, slowly. However, in the next instant...
No!
Together with her scream, the pile of cardboard boxes came tumbling down right before my eyes. Quickly dodged them and rolled across the floor. Stood up immediately, my eyes fixed on the back of the fleeing girl. Anybody else notice something wrong here? Why is she talking? One of the other personalities is there. This is good bad? Good bad. Yeah, wait, she spoke? Exactly. So immediately, my eyes fixed on the back of the fleeing girl. Wait, hold up! I gave chase as I raised my voice. Weaving her way left and right through the row of shells, she continued to escape.
Stop it! Go away! Go away!
That's full sentences, technically. What? Her shoulders suddenly bumped into a stack of shelves. The sentries placed upon them tumbled down and scattered asunder on the ground. Jumping over those obstacles, I pursued her in earnest. Finally. At last, I cornered her. Facing the corner of the storeroom, she slowly stepped back.
No, no, no!
Fiercely shaking her head, she vehemently resisted me. She was clearly frightened, like she'd lost her head from some overwhelming terror. I spoke to her while maintaining an appropriate distance, refraining from inciting her recklessly. It's all right, so come on. Please calm down. I won't do anything. I have no intention of harming you.
No, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Don't want to go? Where? I couldn't understand her, but I obviously couldn't say so. Don't worry. I won't take you anywhere. I was told by Utsumi-san to catch you, or just came to help. Unfortunately, we don't actually know what we came to help with. So, that would be a lie. But she seems to be scared of Utsumi-san, so let's not reference her. She seems very talkative for not being able to speak. Yeah, exactly. Clearly, this must be some other personality, either from DID or from what I think is more of the body swap phenomenon happening. So at this point, the only people not affected by the body swap phenomenon are Yomogi, Mayuzumi, and Utsumi, and that is making a lot of assumptions, because they could be experiencing something similar, and I wouldn't know. We didn't come to help her. Well, I did. I just came to help. After I said that, her expression showed a visible change.
You came to help?
Deep inside her questioning eyes, a faint light came forth. That's right. I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally. I want to protect you. So?
Please help me. I.
All of a sudden, she threw herself against my chest, raising her voice in sorrow.
Eh?
Lost my bearings at this unexpected development. However, as it is, I had no reason to push her away. I held her still in my arms. I feel Uni isn't experiencing it either. No. He's experienced it at least once. Unless they just did a full time change. And well, actually, that's more likely now that I think about it. We kept getting evidence that future Uni in the cabin had stuff from past Uni. So it's probably not the body swap phenomenon. They're probably just doing a full-on time change, or time travel. And then they swap that way.
I'm scared. I'm scared. If it keeps going, I could die. So please, help me. Help me, help me.
It's alright. It's alright now. Calm down.
No, no. Don't leave me. Don't leave.
I won't. I'll be with you this whole time. I'm gonna protect you. I'll help you. So at any rate, calm down, okay?
I'm scared. I'm scared.
There's no way I could hold a proper conversation with her now. I certainly embraced her as tightly as I could, making sure it didn't hurt her. Technically, I only said body swap phenomenon. I didn't say that the body swaps were all the same and went and did the same way. Technically, he swaps bodies. Just the whole bodies. I'm just saying. Suddenly from overhead, I saw someone approaching. It was Utsumi. She walked slowly towards us slowly, her heavy footsteps resonating against the floor. Her right hand was holding something that gave off a metallic radiance, something that looked like a gun. Probably an injection gun, hopefully? Unless she's planning on trying to kill her already. Utsumi stood behind the girl.
Please, help me.
The girl looked at me with pleading eyes. Utsumi quickly held the muzzle of the back to the back of her neck and pulled the trigger. Without any hesitation, in silence, the girl lost her strength. Slipping from my grasp, she collapsed on the floor with a thud. Did you just kill her?
Yet another joke?
Joke?
And then please carry her to her room,
Utsumi said, paying no attention to my shock. But it's hardly enough to kill her. Enough? Utsumi sighed and threw the gun she held to me.
Tranquilizers, same one I hit you with.
Stared fixedly on the object she had handed to me. It definitely wasn't capable of firing bullets. An empty ampule was mounted on the back. I quickly understood that it was an injector shaped like a gun.
Well then, I'll leave her to you.
Saying nothing more, Utsumi walked away. Uni and I, who were left behind, looked down at the girl lying on the floor. Just to be sure, I put my ear to her near her mouth. She was breathing. I could hear it. As I knelt beside the girl, I turned my eyes to Uni. Also, that was kind of a bit of a betrayal. She might, be mad about that later. Oopsie! Turned my eyes to Uni. About as naturally as a piece of lifeless rubber, Uni's face twisted itself into a forced smile.
Utsumi's kind of hardcore.
Great Mother. All these are the same titles that we kept saying at the intro scene. Interesting.
I'm sorry about earlier, Yukito-kun.
Utsumi and I were in the dining area. We were sitting at a table facing each other. Uni was there as well, sitting beside Utsumi. Yeah, we totally caught her for Utsumi. Placed in front of us were cups filled to the brim with warm beverages. Utsumi and I were having coffee, and Uni was having milk tea. Earlier? You mean about Unobushi Keiko? As soon as I asked, Utsumi shook her head and laughed. I couldn't see what was the laughing matter. Unobushi Keiko was now asleep. Uni and I carried her to her room. The three of us had gathered here soon after.
Hey, can I ask something?
Uni answered the talk hesitantly.
Why does Sadaru call that girl Unobushi Keiko? Isn't her name Suzukage Hattori?
I was puzzled over how to answer. As I searched for the right words, Utsumi spoke.
That name. Uni-kun, where did you hear it? From her. She told me herself. Is that so? I see, Uni-kun. She suffers from an illness called dissociative identity disorder. Within her exists another different self named Suzukage Hattori. And her real name, the one in the family register, is Unobushi Keiko.
I see. So that's how it is. There's no longer any doubt as to why the girl had two different names. Come to think of it, I should have been aware of that from the start. After all, that was the main reason why she was confined in Sphia. After Utsumi's explanation, that which was somewhat obvious has become solid fact.
Well, perhaps it's difficult for you to understand. In any case, she's mentally ill. The same as Yukito-kun here.
Well, it kind of helps us if we confirm it. We know from Kokoro's storyline that he believes that Yukito's suffering from DID. I couldn't help but nod. My heart felt like it was being eaten away, but here and now is the first time I'd heard a specific name for it, dissociative identity disorder. I turned to Utsumi again to confirm what I just heard. I've developed a split personality?
Yes.
She replied to the question with that word. How can you tell?
Because you called yourself Fuyakawa Kokoro.
I had no recollection of that. But since Uni confirmed it too, it had to be true. Some time ago, I had introduced myself as Fuyukawa Kokoro.
But then, why did Sutara call himself Kokoro?
The answer to that question was as follows.
Because it was the most convenient for him. In an attempt to stabilize his mind, he judged that taking on the persona of Fuyukawa Kokoro was the most convenient measure.
Utsumi answered Uni. Shutting my mouth, I listened to her story. Felt like they were talking about somebody else's problem. Even when they mentioned Yukito-kun, him, and so forth, it felt like nothing to do with me.
Listen, Yukito-kun.
Utsumi turned to me and spoke.
I'll ask you some questions now. Answer honestly, okay? First of all, do any of those names sound familiar? Mayuzumi Lin, Yomogi Seiichi.
They definitely sound familiar.
Yeah, I know them,
I answered flustered.
Lin, she went out with me some time ago, and Yomogi-san is Sumi-san's...
Started speaking, but I stopped mid-sentence. How could I have forgotten something so important up until now? Yomogi Seiichi and Utsumi Kali were married. And the approval of the dual surname system with the law revision in 2008, Kali had changed her surname back to Utsumi, her maiden name. In other words, the man who appeared in my dreams was none other than Utsumi's husband. However, why did Utsumi decide to ask about him now? And why Mayuzumi Lin, too? The fact that Utsumi knew about Yomogi Seiichi was no surprise to me. How did she know about Lin?
Right, there wasn't a need to ask. You do know those two. Next question. Remember the incident that occurred last year on Mount Akakura?
Yeah, I remember that too. She's probably referring to Flight HAL 18. At this point, Uni abruptly forces his way into conversation.
Hey, what are you two talking about?
Utsumi tilted her head in confusion. She gazed back at Uni with a bewildered look.
How strange. Eh? What's strange? Oh no, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Even though you tell me not to, I still can't help it. It's fine, just stay quiet for a few minutes. I'm talking with Oni-chan now. But... Please, if you have something to say, I'll hear you out later, okay?
He pouted sulkily and shut his mouth. Took a sip of the milk tea instead. I looked back at Utsumi and continued.
Well then, what were you trying to say? Haven't you figured it out yet?
If you put it like that, I guess. The HAL 18 incident? Ones who were on board the small passenger plane.
So that's what it was all about. Yomogi Seiichi, Fuyukawa Kokoro, Mayuzumi Lin. On the 17th of January last year, 3 of them were caught in an avalanche on Mount Akakura. Yes, that's right. That's why I know about Fuyukawa-san and Mayuzumi-san. And of course, about Uni-kun too. Eh?
What? We still haven't had an explanation for why Uni's here. Uni inclined his head, openly expressing his curiosity at the mention of his name. Yet he was obediently staying quiet. Did Utsumi's warning work? But I couldn't stay quiet. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, words came out automatically.
Yeah, that's right. Why is Uni here anyway?
He was the only survivor of the crash. Since then, 1 year had passed, yet I still had no idea as to why or how he showed up in Svea.
Well, you know.
Uni tried to answer, but Utsumi stopped him.
Wait. To make this any more complicated than it already is, I'll try to explain everything from the beginning.
Finally!
From the beginning? Me too? Yes, when I say everything, I mean everything. Everything I know, at least. But only under one condition. A condition? I can't have this talk with both of you at the same time. So why don't you come to my room one at a time, please?
Why?
Because unless you accept this condition, I won't tell you anything.
We don't have much of a choice if you put it like that. Wow, sounds like she's hiding something. Uni and I nodded quietly.
Then, first up is Yukito-kun.
With that proclamation, Utsumi stood up from her seat. She headed towards her room. Uni and I were still trying to regain our composure after that unexpected twist. What a twist! And I think it's time for the chat and myself to regain our composure as well. So, get up, stretch, whatever you need to do, be able to keep watching comfortably. And I will be right back.